Hi, Hazel.
Hi, Sylvia.
How are you
Morning, how
today?
are you?
I'm great.
I'm really good. I'm really good. I had a really good start. I've been waking up early now and doing writing. So it's really good. Although it's quite an early time, it's really good to wake up and it just gets you quite inspired. So I'm really good. How about you?
Yeah, I had quite busy morning as usual with girls going to school, but it feels good, you know. So yeah, I'm very grateful to be here and very
Mm.
grateful to discover another topic that we briefly discussed
Mhm.
about, which is women's worth.
Mhm.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, before I answer, just really wanted to quickly say thank you again to our subscribers and the people who view the videos and commented. I got feedback from a friend from America at the weekend, and she said she really enjoyed it. And one of the things that she thought we could talk about maybe is a bit more topical and giving hope to women and families. So we just to say thank you to everyone. What do I think about a woman's worth? Um, I think a woman's worth is very important, and I think as women we are not. I think we forget how important we are and how powerful we are as women, and sometimes we forget that and give our power away to other people, especially in relationships. So I'm glad we're talking about it today because it's something that I really feel passionate about. That women have such unique talents and skills, and we're so powerful that we need to know how to use our power for good.
Definitely.
How about you?
I agree 100%. And yeah, I think it's the way we were brought up makes a
Mhm.
huge difference. Like I can see differences between the cultures. And yeah, we can maybe touch on it a little bit, but let's just go ahead and discover the whole topic. I'm sure many points will resonate with many women and men
Mhm.
probably too. They will see certain things that maybe they were not aware that much before. So
Mhm.
let's just go ahead. So,
Sure.
like, what do you think about what I see a lot is like women constantly look for this validation outside of themselves just to confirm that they are
Mhm.
worthy. And like, I do have to say, I was like that too. So it can be expressed in many different ways. Like, for example, having a relationship, having children, or pursuing education, as many degrees you can have, the better you are, or, whatever it is, or even the looks. Yeah. And like, I was like that too, where I do have to say, through the life experience, I totally changed my approach. I see it totally differently, probably because there were points of my life when I lost a lot, and then
Mhm.
I had to take a step back, look at myself, and think, okay, if all of that goes away, who am I? What is your
Yeah.
take on that?
Yeah. No, I and I think it's interesting. I was doing a telephone interview with someone. It's a man actually, and he wants me to do a workshop with him somewhere later in the year about self-esteem. And we were talking about that this morning about exactly that about value and worth. And I was saying to him, I think for some of us, it's easier for us to know our worth and our values if we were brought up in families or in communities that made us feel good about ourselves and didn't put pressure on us and allow us to express and create. But for most of the population, that wasn't the case. And so, what happens? So, when you face a crisis or trauma, when you've got no choice, you've got to start asking yourself question: Who am I? What is it about? What is life about? What am I worth? So, I totally get that. And as you were talking, I was thinking of a client of mine. We recently did a session with her and her mother, and her it was quite amazing because she comes across as someone who just kind of, I would say, not really expressive, and I thought there was something not right about her. She's actually a professional person, works in the legal service, so very, very quite well successful, went to university, etc. But she was brought up in a community, an environment where, um, which is very close to me, Essex, that where when she from school age, she was kind of bullied because, well, one about the way she looked because she's of her race, but also secondly because she didn't have the amount of money and the big house and all those things that her friends did. So she felt to get validated, she needed to like behave a certain way, act a certain way. So now she lives in a she's living that life with the big car and the big house. And she said that she doesn't talk about her profession because she's a stay-at-home mom at the moment. They don't know she's a qualified professional person. So she just acts the way in which they expect her to like talk about the like trivial things, go on the big holidays, drive the big cars, go to the gym with her friends. Because she said if she doesn't do that, she'll lose her friends. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, but this is the reality that sometimes we think that to get validation we need to do things to impress people. We need to have a big house, big car, dress a certain way. So I get what you're saying in terms of looking at your life and asking, who am I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the question is like, again, what it brings to me, right? Why do I need to validate myself? And also, like when you said about a person maintaining a certain lifestyle to have friends, are they really friends?
Yes. Yeah, no, I do, and I remembered. I mean, this story links to me because many years ago when after I sort of got divorced, I wanted to completely start over, so I moved from London to the West Midlands, and I moved in a very affluent. I didn't know. I just picked up something on the map and said, "Oh, that's interesting." So I got a job there, went there, and realized it was one of the most affluent places in the West Midlands. Really nice community of people. They welcome us really well, but it was a lifestyle where it was ladies who lunch. So most of the women didn't work. Actually, I don't think any of them worked. They didn't have like a career. And they were the ones that went to they would go out for lunch, then for evening time, for dinner time, have people looking after their children. And I kind of was fascinated by that. And I got friendly with them and occasionally would go out with them, but I couldn't afford their lifestyle. And I remember a friend of mine, a potential date, he said to me, because he had lived in Dubai, and he said to me, "You don't really belong here. You don't fit in here. These women are different to you." And he said, "I've seen it in Dubai. Why are you friends with these people?" And I thought he was telling me that I wasn't good enough to fit in there. So I was like, really offended actually that he said that. And I thought, how dare he? I'm just as good enough. But look, now I realize after years of thinking about it, he was actually saying to me that your values are different. I was a professional person who liked to be in different cultures, different groups, to talk. I love communicating, as you could see.
Yes.
So that group wasn't right for me in terms of because I couldn't be myself. And so I understood what that meant, that in order to be in that group, it was like being at school. It was always some kind of gossip, someone falling out with each other, always having to go to each other's home, like a clique. And that's not me. So I understood now what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
What's been your experience of it?
Yeah, it was similar. Like I remember being thrown in the situation that I felt like I didn't belong, which was interesting. But the thing is, like, you have to kind of observe yourself. It's not like internally, because I could hear my body was screaming. It was like, no, this is not right. And every time you kind of like have to fake yourself to fit into the situation, this is your warning sign. And now I'm at that stage of my life where obviously there will be situation like where you go, I don't know, to the office or whatever, when you won't be 100% yourself, right? That's just the way it is, and that's okay. However, like, I do believe in a close relationship, you should never diminish who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you say close, you're talking like intimate relationships, like friendship, like
Yeah.
relationship in partnership with your boyfriend, husband, lover. Is that what
Yes.
you mean in close
Yes.
relationship?
Yeah, definitely. I expect to be fully myself from myself.
Yeah.
So like, obviously, as people, we have so many roles to fulfill. Like, you have to be a mom, you have to be a partner, you have to be an employee, for example, or whatever it is. We have 100 roles, and that doesn't mean that our state and who we are will be constantly the same, right? So I did have to come up with that conclusion for myself, because I was like, okay, what does it mean? But the thing is, like, okay, I don't have to reveal my whole self everywhere I go.
No, no.
What do you think about that?
I agree, but also I also believe that I'm the common denominator in each of those relationships, whether it's in work, whether it's in personal relationship with my family or friendship. So I came to that conclusion that for me to for me to be myself and to be accepted, I'm the same everywhere. I get it that some places like work you may not necessarily share too much, but when I say being me, I had to decide, well, okay, who am I in terms of what are my values? And one of the things that so for me, honesty and integrity is important, being compassionate, very accepting of everyone in terms of culture, race, gender. Um, freedom, the freedom to express myself is very important, and having choice. So when I came up with actually those, what I call those inner values that made me decide this is who I am. Like when I think about when I'm with my friends, when I'm at work, what is the thing that comes to the most? It's my personality. I like to laugh. I like to talk. I like to listen. I like to ask questions. I'm an observer. I observe a lot. So if I could be that person in every place, and if I can be free to express that person, I'm okay. And I think, like you, I recognize when I'm not being like that person in like in relationship, I can feel my body. I feel really tense. I feel really like held in, and I feel irritable and just really stressed or like clumsy. So I know that I'm not being myself because I'm probably either being judged or feeling that someone would judge me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to really notice what's going on in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I've come to the conclusion if people can't accept that person, whether it's at work or whatever, then this job is not the right job for me,
Yeah.
or this relationship is not the right relationship for me. Because if you want me to perform or to be part of this relationship, then it's gonna better if I can show up being me. And yes, there's rules and regulation in an organization. You obviously can't, dance and sing and behave crazily there, but you
Not
can do
in
it
the
in your
meetings,
home.
right?
But you should be able to have a voice. You should be able to express your views. You should be able to be happy. And a good example for me is about spirituality. Like when I came to this country initially, I started training, I think I said before, as a nurse. I trained initially as a
Mm-hmm.
psychiatric nurse. And we were trained, this is in the early 90s, that you couldn't talk about anything about yourself or about religion. You couldn't, you
Yeah.
just have to keep that part of you quietly. Now I started realizing, well, obviously you don't push your views on politics and religion on people. But I also started thinking, well, I'm suppressing who am I, who I am.
Yeah.
So I gradually started like just hearing the drip feeding to say to people, well, I'm interested in spirituality, I'm interested in this, and that's as much as I give. But I just didn't want to hide the fact that this is me. And so I think the more and more I did it, the more and more free I became, and more people were starting to talk about their spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
what they believed in, and I started getting clients who were coming to me who felt the same way. So I think there's something about allowing yourself to be that person, obviously with respect to the environment that you're in.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I agree with you. And the thing is, like, um, I think the culture that was kind of like put on us, kind of force us to not express um, what we think, just to raise our voice, which is, yeah, it's quite damaging. Probably because we are not taught how to take other opinions, like, just not to, as you said, force opinions on others, because, we have all right to disagree on things that are working for me might necessarily work for you. So, and that's okay. But again, yeah, I think there's a lot we need to do in order to get out of this thinking, and yeah, try to find a right balance for all of us.
And it could be hard, because I was thinking about, as you said, culture. If you're brought up in a culture that actually doesn't, that views especially women as kind of less than, that they're not like important, that their roles is just to look after, to care for, you shouldn't have a voice, then it's going to be difficult for a woman to find her voice or to feel confident and to know what her values are and what her worth are. I'm smiling because I had been in a dating site a while, not recently, but before, and I was quite interesting that some of the people and the men on the dating site were very clear that they wanted like a woman who could look after a man, who didn't have to talk too much, or one of said that I'm a simple man, I don't talk much, so I don't want anyone who talks too much. And I'm like, well, that is not going to, be me. And I used to like write them back a letter to say, tell them off or whatever. My daughter said, Mom, can you just block them, delete them? You don't need to educate them. But I'm like, how dare you? So I think some men are like that.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, but some systems, some cultures, some environment where, and yes, traditionally that was the role of the woman, to be quiet, to be passive. And I know as a professional woman, especially with dating, I've been also told by colleagues, a male colleague a few years ago, he said that because you're so confident and you're bright, men are going to feel intimidated by
Yeah.
you having a voice. So I think you have to have the courage to speak up, to challenge. And yes, it might be that you don't get to have that day, but then that's not the right man for you eventually, or the right partner. If you can't be yourself, like you said, then why would you want to date someone or be in a friendship with someone when you can't express yourself?
And again, it's like, as you said before, it's about digging deep into yourself and asking yourself, what do you want for yourself? Because I know women that are stay-at-home moms and they are happy out, and that's okay, right? It's just asking yourself, do I want this kind of relationship? Or and plus, of course, it's not like you don't want to give at all, but you should a little bit expect from others as well to receive something back, instead of just like giving. And this brings us to the discussion about sacrifice, right? Because like as women, we sacrifice a lot just to have that relationship, to keep everyone happy, like our kids, the employer, which is very damaging for us at the end of the day. And very often we experience much more of burnout, and we're unhappy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and irritable, and then you feel resentful and you blame you. I call it the martyrdom syndrome. The martyr. Because, and it makes you think of that story in the Bible about Martha and Mary, when Martha was working hard and she was complaining, and then Jesus said, oh, basically the other one was sitting at his feet listening. And I think that is like being present, being aware, just enjoying the moment. Was working hard in the kitchen and she was doing a good job. And I used to always like be defensive towards her, thinking, well, there's nothing wrong. She's trying to prepare the meal. But actually what she was doing is that she was working hard and she was complaining, like, it's not fair. Look at me. I'm doing all the work. She's sitting here not doing anything. And I found myself in that situation, in work situation, where I was working really hard and my colleagues were going on holiday. partly at the time I couldn't afford holidays either, but not just that. I could have taken time off as well, but I was, complaining. It's not fair, being resentful, and even in relation, in my marriage as well, I was doing everything, working full time, studying full time, looking after the kids, whatever. And you kind of get to the point where you're burnt out and stressed, but you also kind of feel, you complain, and of course, I know in my situation, I don't think I was going to get the help even if I asked for it anyway, because of my relationship there. But some women take on that role, and they don't allow their partners, their husband to help. They see it as just their role, that the partner might not do good enough. So you might want him to help or her to help with the dishes. But because
Yeah.
if the dishes are not clean enough, you go and wash it over. Or you might find that when you leave the partner with the child, he may not necessarily give them like a cooked meal. He might go to McDonald's and buy McDonald's. You don't like that. So you start, I'm going to do it my way. So you're not allowing the person to help you. Not just that, you're putting more work on yourself and you're feeling stressed and then you're unhappy. So I think
Yeah.
sometimes we create those situations ourselves in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've had experience of that.
Oh, I was totally the same. But the thing is, like, I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know that, like,
Okay.
uh, my mom didn't provide me with those tools. Now, because
Mhm.
she learned through her experience, she's always telling me, oh, you need to say this, you need to say that. But before that, she was the same, because she had me when she was very young, and she didn't know either. So what do you think, how women can raise the voice and say, look, this is not working for me, in a way to not feel,
Mm.
because I think we kind of feel like we don't want to bother anyone, or, seem like we seem to be needy, right?
Yes.
So how we can do it in a better way so it serves us.
Ask, by asking for help.
Yes.
How can we ask for help? Um, I think the first thing is to recognize that you need help. Because if you don't know that you need help, you're going to continue to go on that treadmill of destruction. Some women will be very happy, as you said, in those roles, and they're contented. But for the ones who are really kind of really overstretched, overstressed, I think they need to recognize that, and you would see that by your body feeling tired, feeling anxious, exhausted, irritable, resentful. So you need to ask for help. The
Mhm.
next thing would be like thinking about who are the people around to help you. So do you have family members? Do you have your partner, friends, etc.? Because actually people feel good when they help you.
Mhm.
Um, so you have to take that risk by being very honest with the people that you trust and say, I really could do with help. Can you help me to pick up my child from school, or can you watch this child for an hour, etc. So I'm thinking of an example of a friend who has done that for another friend. This lady has got 3 children under the age of 7, 3 boys, very active, and she was really tearing her hair out in the pandemic, trying to homeschool and trying to, do a wife. She's a wife as well, and she's not from this country; she's from a different country,
Yeah.
so she's completely isolated. So this friend of mine would go and sit in the garden and look after the children for a couple hours while the other friend gets a rest or go out for groceries. Or she invited her to stay with her for a week so she can then help her to care for them while the husband worked, etc. Because his job is quite a demanding job.
Mhm.
So things like that people actually feel good to help, especially people who are retired, like the grandmothers or the older generation who have not much to do, and they really want to maybe get involved with supporting children. So I think those are 2 things. But if you haven't got that, I think it's creating a routine where you have a boundary that when you're working, if you've got children, when you're spending time with the children, when they're in bed, making sure that you have time for yourself by having a bath, um, you know, whatever, time for massage, etc. So it starts with there, but obviously if it gets worse, then you need to look for help outside.
Yeah.
Maybe going to, like, if you belong to a religious community, to church, to your mosque, whatever, go for help, seek counseling, coaching. There's so many options, really. What's your thoughts on that?
Um, I would say, first of all, you need to recognize that you are enough, because like we are programmed. Like what I've noticed with myself, and I'm sure it's for many, many women, is that you have that chatter in your head that says, oh, you can do it yourself, or you do it better, whatever, right?
Mhm.
It is programmed here. So
Yeah.
like when you hear that voice, then you kind of like have to kind of like catch it and say, look, I'm enough, right?
Mhm.
And then do it differently, because like, yeah, you need to raise the vibration in order to ask for help, or even to introduce the routine that will support you. And it will ultimately lead you to actually be in a better position to give to others, which many women don't know. i
Yeah.
was i was like that too, so
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
totally understand that. And I do recognize that, yeah, you need to kind of value yourself first in order
Mhm.
to introduce those changes.
And that's a big one because it took me a while to understand. Because, if you're in the coaching world or the therapy world or self-development, you hear that language a lot. Value yourself. Even if you can't do it, start doing affirmations. It took me ages to understand what that means by valuing yourself. And for me, how I had to connect it was in terms of the spiritual context. So I thought about, if the idea that I believe in God, if God loves me, what does that look like? What is love? What does love look like? And then when I started to pray about, okay, I need to show me what love looks like. Show me, how you see me, how you love me. And I started to realize, okay, if God loves me in a way that He's forgiving, He's compassionate, he could be a she, depends on who you believe in, but that's my concept. Yeah, I just think, and for me, it's God created the universe with all these beautiful creatures, the sky, the sun. There's beauty in creation. There's abundance. So therefore, I must be an abundant person. I must be a creative person. I must be a beautiful person. And I started seeing myself in that light. So therefore, yeah, wow, I am enough. Really, there's so much about me because I'm a reflection of God. And I thought, so if I'm a reflection of God, then that means I'm okay. So that's how I had to get to that mindset. And then I started listening to, when I think about my family and the people who really cared for me and loved me, and the feedback they gave me in terms of, just thinking, it wasn't so much about what I had, it was more about my personality again. That and I just thought, they love spending time with me. So why are they spending so much time with me? There must be a reason why someone wants to spend time with me. And I started thinking, what qualities do I have within me that allows someone to want to be with
Mhm.
me? And those are the ways in which I started realizing that I was enough, because people like me because of my smile. I made them feel welcome. I made them feel good enough. I made them feel okay. I didn't judge them. I didn't criticize them. So therefore, that was who I was. And I think it started me to realize that's enough. I don't
Yeah.
have to perform. I could just be me. I
Yeah.
don't have to have makeup. I have makeup on today, but I could not have makeup on. I could be in the most raggedy clothes. Can I tell a quick story? Have we got time?
uh yeah, but 2 minutes.
Okay.
So
So, okay, that
just
maybe it's
one more.
another story. It's a story for another time, but it was about raggedy clothes. We could talk about it another time.
Okay, so as a wrap up words, what would you
Mm.
be a suggestion from your side, where women that feels very unworthy, where she should start?
Uh, well, I think it's to start with where you are right now, what I call location. So I would say just stop, take time out, go in a quiet place and really sit. And if you can write or journal and really sit and breathe and be in a place of peace and start to really tune in to how you're feeling, and start, to really question yourself, how do I feel? How do I feel about my life right now? How do I feel about myself? How am I seeing myself right now? So what is the story, the narrative I'm telling about myself right now? And am I okay being like this? Am I okay being here right now? Or do I want more for my life? And I think when you start by actually really stopping and really reviewing your life, making notes, making journal, maybe every night, I would say, make it into practice that you just sit for 5-10 minutes and ask the same question. Where am I right now? How am I feeling? Where do I want to be in a year's time? Then you would start to get the answers about whether things are working okay or not. And the next step would be, okay, now that I know that I'm here, what would I need to do to get to the next stage? And that might come in with questions around, who am I? What are my values? What are my worth? So really, I think it's a lot of self reflection, questioning, and that would lead you to the next stage. So that's my tip for now. But and also just really thinking that whatever the answer comes, it's the right answer in the moment. You don't need to do anything. You just need to start being open to inquiring about your life. If you want things to change, I'm interested in your position, your point of view.
Yeah, like I think it's fair, and that this is what I've been doing. I would also say, as we discussed a little bit earlier, to tune in to your emotions. So like, especially this anger and resentment, that tells us a lot. So taking step back and tuning in, thinking of like, and feeling, why am I at that state? Because most of the time it's very unnatural for us. So something is not being fulfilled within us that brings us to that state. Because at the end of the day, for example, if you see that you're getting upset with your children, right? Maybe it's just because you're spending all your time with the children, that you have no help. So you kind of like need to recognize that within yourself. Or even like, if you, whenever you said about, for example, the partner, that you feel that you are doing much more housework, for example, than he does. Again, you're getting kind of like tense and everything. And yeah, my take will be just to kind of tune in and try to communicate that to your partner, even to your children. Like if they are big enough, you can say, look, mommy is really tired. I need time for myself. Because like, even with children, we often don't do that. But when they are big enough, it's actually okay. And you'll be surprised that they'd be like, they will like actually to take care of us a little bit, as long as they can.
Yeah. And actually, happy children, happy mothers, happy parents make happy children. So if you're happy, the people around you will be happy.
Exactly.
And that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Righty. So thank you very much for watching. I think it was great discussion. If you have any comments or anything going on, just drop us a message or leave a comment. And don't forget to follow us.
Yes, thank you. We really value your support and the comments that you've made so far. So it's encouraging. It helps us to keep going. So thank you for taking the time to look at our video and to listen to us.
Great. So thank you very much.